I discovered this really remarkable piece on Taiwan that I've got to share with you because it is kind of scary. And I didn't think about this, but I've regularly been one of those folks here on the channel, just fully transparent, that's been thinking, I don't think China is going to invade Taiwan because their economy is in the doldrums. They're talking about more stimulus now. Finally, yesterday, they're signaling more stimulus. Everybody's like, please, China, stimulate. We're going to turn into Japan. People are freaking out about the Chinese economy. And there's some people that are like, buy the dip, this is it. And then there are other people like, no, they're going to turn into Japan. All the smart people leave. All the rich people leave. You know, it's a problem. Stay away from China. So you have a lot of noise around China. And all this noise around China, especially the economic problems, have left me somewhat convinced that China would not be so stupid to invade Taiwan. As much as China's policy is that they really want to turn Taiwan into like a Macau or a Hong Kong, which are CCP controlled but autonomous regions. So it's kind of like you're your own place, but we still own you. So what's this piece that I just discovered that potentially throws this idea on its head that China won't try something really aggressive with Taiwan? Well, it's this. It's a Wall Street Journal piece discussing that Taiwan's biggest national security threat is not actually an invasion of Taiwan. It's actually that 97% of its energy is transported to Taiwan rather than created on the island of Taiwan. Now, that's a little scary. Why is that scary? Well, it's scary because China has regularly been thought to desire blockading access to Taiwan. And the way you could do that is if you just look at the map. Because you've got China right here, Taiwan right here. If China blockades not just the Strait of Taiwan, but potentially all the way around Taiwan, notice the more populous side, by the way, is on the Chinese side, then what happens? Taiwan's screwed really quickly. By the way, Taiwan's semiconductors, according to this Wall Street Journal piece, uses somewhere around 6% of the entire nation of Taiwan's energy. All of it. 6% goes to Taiwan semiconductors. It just shows you how much they're manufacturing chips over there, which is kind of remarkable. There are your NVIDIA chips, for example. But look at this piece, because this piece was remarkable. So, pointing out some of the best. They rely on sea shipments for 97% of their energy. Taiwan has been slow to expand their renewable energies, especially wind and solar, on the island itself. Defensive analysts now think Beijing lacks the capacity to launch an outright invasion. Instead, they're more likely to attempt a selective blockade or quarantine, squeezing rather than flattening Taiwan into submission. In other words, China could basically win Taiwan just by circling Taiwan, cutting off the flow of energy, and you've got days of energy left, and then you're screwed. We'll talk about exactly how many days in just a moment. But I want you to remember to mark July 25th, 2 weeks from today, on your calendar for the next expiration and larger price increase. We're going with a larger price increase this time for the programs on Building Your Wealth, link down below. Mostly because continue to add more value in there, and the amount of feedback we're getting from all of you in email or in posts is phenomenal. Thank you so much to all of those of you supporting the value that we've got in the courses. It motivates me to keep bringing new content to everyone, so super excited. Make sure to join. Check out the links down below to get lifetime access to the new content that we add, the fundamental analysis, the trade ideas, the stock ideas, the real estate ideas, everything with me in person every day the market is open in our private course member live streams. Check that out, link down below, as well as all the lectures. So what else do we have here? We have, while total energy self-sufficiency is out of reach, analysts say mitigating some vulnerabilities and the potential, in the case of a quarantine, could help buy time. But even still, you're basically screwed if you end up having China just circle Taiwan and cutting off their energy. Taiwan right now even if they were able to run on just a quarter of its energy imports for just critical infrastructure, wouldn't last very long. In fact, the length of time they would last, that's what I would like to find right now. Here it is. Here's how long they might last. They only have 2 terminals capable of collectively storing less than just 2 weeks worth of natural gas, 8 days worth of air conditioning in a summer month. So in other words, you've got about enough natural gas for 2 weeks for the electricity on the island, or 8 days. So for 6 days less in the summer when everybody's cranking the AC. I know we don't have natural gas powered ACs, but that's how we generate the electricity to get AC, right? But anyway, you have very limited time before Taiwan basically runs out of energy. That means the lights go off. That means infrastructure turns off, street lights turn off, chaos, right? Computers turn off, internet turns off, everything's bad. It's actually a very potentially easy way for China to just crush Taiwan, which is kind of scary. At the same time, you have politics that are sandbagging energy independence, whether it's nuclear power or more solar and wind or new natural gas plants, which some folks are arguing that it's actually the Chinese Communist Party that's planting, protesters or your Chinese-backed parties and politicians arguing, no, we don't want more natural gas because that's bad for the environment. Meanwhile, China knows what they're really trying to do is just sandbag Taiwan and make them even more vulnerable. Kind of an interesting allegation, somewhat makes sense. But, they're also pulling off the same kind of, in my opinion, stupidity that Germany pulled off, which was, let's close our nuclear reactors, which is what Germany did. And now Germany imports a ton of their electricity from France, which, guess what, makes it with nuclear power. Then you've got the current, head of the country basically saying, yeah, you know what? In 2016, what did they say? They said, we're going to phase out nuclear power by 2025 because why not be more at risk of getting cut off from China? And why not use more natural gas when we could be using less? But no, it's not politically popular to build new nuclear power plants because the old ones sucked. That's basically what's happening. You're looking at nuclear power plants from like the 60s and 70s that had problems, whether it's Fukushima or otherwise. And rather than rebuilding modern ones that are substantially safer, let's just shut them all down. It's honestly like so stupid. Oh yeah, here's the part about TSM using 6% of Taiwan's total energy consumption. That energy consumption surged up 34% in 2020 and 2022, or between that time frame. Kind of wild. But point being, this definitely makes you want to look at the whole China-Taiwan thing in a little bit of a different light, because if you're thinking China which I originally thought too before I saw this, I'm like, wow, I mean, if China's going to invade Taiwan, they're going to need, well, first of all, they're going to be sandbagging their economy because it's going to take a large, like, Herculean effort to actually pull it off, to invade Taiwan, especially when you've got countries like the United States suggesting, we'll defend Taiwan at all costs, kind of like what we're doing in Ukraine. Well, you got a problem. But you don't even have to do that. You don't even have to shoot anybody. No weapons, no war. All you have to do is stop the flow of natural gas, and they're screwed. And then flick a finger, snap a finger, the existing politicians, as soon as the internet and power turns off, all the existing politicians get voted out, the Chinese-backed ones come in, you have regime change instantaneously, they turn the power back on, everybody's like, yay, the power's back on, the new politicians rock, we're Chinese now, woohoo. I mean, I'm obviously substantially oversimplifying here, but I guess the point is, I never thought about it that way, and I wanted to share it with you because it makes me think, wow, that's actually a whole lot more likely than we originally thought it could be. Because again, China could pull it off without destroying their economy. Now, I want you to know this, when it comes to AI, time is what's going to make you money. And if you can prove that value to an employer, you'll always be able to be employed. So this is another way of making sure that you don't get replaced by